Very soon it is that time of year again, cozy autumn weather, warm clothes, pumpkins and drawing cats. Well, drawing even more cats for me, but it means that Kattober is right around the corner, the challenge where you draw a cat for each day of October using my prompt list. And yeah, there is still a little time until the challenge actually begins on October 1st, but I thought I would share the prompt list already so that anyone that would like to participate will have plenty of time to get prepared. I'm really looking forward to seeing all the cute cats that you guys will create. And remember, you can use any kind of art medium that you like. There isn't any specific rules or anything. The only rules are to be creative and have fun. And if you would like to use the prompt list but you don't really feel like drawing cats, that is totally fine too. It is just for fun, so draw as much or as little as you want. I'm only happy if the list can spark some creativity and inspiration. Anyway, I have put all the prompts in this jar, so I thought for this video I would pick a few of them and then create an illustration using these prompts. So let's do that. The first one, we got Serene. And let's see, the next one, we have Frenzy, Serene and Frenzy. So yeah, that could be a bit of a challenge. Let's see what more we can do. Oh, a tree house. It is so interesting how these three words together is already creating like images in my head, like ideas for the illustrations. Do I dare picking another one? No, but I will do it anyway. We got bird. Oh, that is very fitting with the treehouse themes. Let's pick one more. Ritual. That could actually go quite well together with frenzy. So let's try one more. We have amulet. I could actually maybe squeeze one more in there. Letter. I think that is quite doable. 5, 6, 7. Let's go for an 8th one. And we have brew. And yeah, we already have 8 prompts here. Should I go with 10 to make it a nice round number? We got key. I think that is doable. Let's pick the last 10th prompt. We have rainy, and that will do it for this illustration because I think 10 prompts is quite enough. So these are the prompts that I'm gonna try to squeeze into this illustration. We got amulet, letter, brew, key, rainy, serene, frenzy, treehouse, bird, and rituals. Wish me luck. Let's get started. So perhaps I bit off a little more than I could chew by picking 10 prompts for one illustration, but I did actually get a pretty clear idea of what I wanted to draw when I saw the prompt. The only problem though is that things in your head doesn't always work on the paper. The treehouse prompt turned out to be a little more tricky than I thought, even though I could see it very clearly in my mind. So I wanted to have the scene of this illustration taking place from the inside of a cozy treehouse. And you know, the thing with a tree house is that the tree is usually on the outside, and if you remove the tree part of tree house, you just have a house. So we need to see the tree to make it feel like an actual tree house. Have I said tree house enough times now? So I had to compromise and do sort of like a cross section, like a dollhouse, where we can see part of the outside and the inside at the same time. Does it make it look like it is just half a house with no roof? Well, kind of, but the idea is that it is a complete whole treehouse, cross section so we can see inside. I also had part of the tree going through the house just to add to the treehouse vibe. So that was a bit of a challenge, and I did actually struggle with some of the other prompts too, but now I've been talking about the treehouse for the whole sketch part here, so I would talk more about the other prompts while doing the coloring. Speaking of the coloring, I will be using the Nahuku brush tipped paint markers from Ohuhu, and you might remember that I have actually tried these before in a previous video, but now Ohuhu have released an even bigger set with even more colors. I absolutely love the flexible brush tip and that there is this little window where you can see the level of the ink. This is a set of 48 markers, but it actually only has 44 colors because they have added 2 extra white markers and 2 extra black markers, which are the 2 colors that usually runs out the fastest, so it is great to have a few spare ones. For the rest of the markers, I think there is a good variety of colors. We have some lighter pastel tones, we have darker shades and mid-tones, and they all apply very smooth and even on both the white and the black swatch cards. And if you would like to check out these paint markers yourself, you find the links in the description box below. It is affiliate links, but it only supports me to no extra cost for you. Also, don't forget to use the code Kattvalk10 off at checkout for 10% discount on your order. Thanks Ohuhu for sending me these markers. Let's get into the art. So I'm tracing the sketch to a fairly big piece of paper. To be honest, I am a little intimidated of making a full illustration with paint markers only. It is something that I haven't really done before, so I decided to scale it up a bit so that all the details would be nice and big to color in. The paper is hot pressed watercolor paper, which has a very smooth surface that I thought would work well with these paint markers. So yeah, let's dive straight into it. So I'm starting with coloring the walls and floor of the treehouse, followed by the tree, the branches, and the ladder. And here I pretty much immediately realized that the selection of browns in this set of markers could perhaps be improved. We have this lighter beige, which I used for the walls and the floor, and perhaps I could have made the walls a different color, but also I want to keep the natural wood color to make it feel more rustic and handmade. But then the browns that I used for the tree, the ladder, and the edges of the wood planks, it's 2 different browns. One is a little warmer, one is a little cooler, but they are just a little too similar. So I would perhaps have wished for a mid brown. But overall, I am pretty satisfied about the color selection. As I mentioned, there is a good variety of lighter and darker tones, and the colors that I missed in the previous smaller set has been added here, like the teal for example, and more greens. And having extra of the white and the black markers I think is a really smart move, even though I think they could have switched one of the blacks and one of the whites for 2 more browns. Anyway, let's talk about the prompt. Treehouse I have already talked about a lot, so that is one of them. Then we have ritual, where we have these 2 kitties, just 2 curious little cats that has lit some candles in a ring on the floor, and they're playing with a Ouija board. And here we also have the prompt letter, because there are letters on a Ouija board, which I'm adding in later. Also, by the way, you shouldn't really play with a Ouija board because you never know what or whom you let through, like these 2 kitties that accidentally summoned a bunch of ghosts or entities, which leads us to the next prompts, which are Frenzy and Serene. And these 2 prompts were definitely the hardest to fit into this illustration, and perhaps I took the easy way out, but I made one of the ghosts like an evil demon, Frenzy, and one of them is more calm and, well, serene. And then I added a 3rd ghost, which is sad. So it is like a trio of emotional ghosts. I don't know, it was the best that I could think of at the time. We also have the prompt bird, so there is a raven or some sort of black bird watching them. We also have brew, which I first thought I would make like a potion bottle or something like that, but I thought in a tree house perhaps it would be more fitting having a cup of tea or something, so that is what I did, standing on a pile of books. Then the prompt amulet and key I sort of turned into one by making the necklace that one of the cats are wearing into a key-shaped amulet, and then the hoop of the key is also sort of an eye to make it more amulet-like. Lastly, we have the prompt rainy, which I will also add in later when I make the background, and then we can see the rainy sky around the treehouse. So yeah, that is how I managed to squeeze in all the 10 prompts into this illustration. Some of them I am more pleased with than others, but I still think it turned out pretty cute. And besides the challenge of using all the prompts, it was also a bit of a challenge using the paint markers. Not that they were hard to work with, not at all. On the contrary, they are very nice and smooth to draw with. But I have never really used paint markers for a whole illustration like this before, and I was a little worried that all the smaller details would be a little tricky to color in, but since it is brush tip markers, you can make these really fine lines if you use a lighter pressure, while you can also get bolder lines when adding more pressures. So they are very versatile and they worked perfectly for a piece like this. The last time I worked with these paint markers, I used them on canvas, so this is actually the first time I used them on paper, and I am very impressed. The softer brush tip is a lot gentler to the paper than the rougher and stiffer fiber tip that regular paint markers usually have, so I didn't experience any tearing of the paper or paper crumbs in the paint or anything, but I did also make sure to pick a smoother and durable paper. As I mentioned, I'm using hot pressed watercolor paper with almost no texture at all, which was perfect. I think smooth Bristol board or mixed media paper would also be great for these markers. Once I've laid down all the flat colors, I go back and add in all the details, and I may have gone a little overboard here, but I was just enjoying myself, perhaps a little too much. Adding details and bringing the art to life is one of my favorite parts of the whole art process. With all the dots and lines, it just feels like the whole illustration is moving and coming to life. Also, if you're wondering about the colorful balls that are wrapped around the tree trunk and across the window, it is supposed to be a light string with different colored lights. So the darker center would be the bulb itself, and then the lighter ball around it is supposed to be the light coming from the light bulb, and maybe it looks more like a garland, I don't know, but I think it turned out kind of cute and colorful. So even if these paint markers have a finer point, I felt like I needed something even finer to add some line work to some areas. So then I brought out another set of Ohuhu paint markers. You know, the ones that are double-ended and has this side with a super fine nib, perfect for line work. So I used that for the outlines and for adding the letters to the Ouija board. I also used a metallic gold pen for the amulet key. I had so much fun working on this piece once I figured out how to include all the different prompts. Let me know, guys, what you think of it, and also let me know if you will participate in this year's Kattober challenge. I really hope that I will get to see your cute cat drawings this October. But yeah, that is all for now. I hope you enjoyed this video and the art. Thanks for watching, and thanks Ohuhu for sending me the paint markers. I will see you next time. Keep drawing my happy cats. Bye!